Chip Grooners, welcome back to another one of the Running Guru shows, and today's Sunday sermon, Lessons Learned in Chicago Marathon, and it's lesson number 5. Lesson number 5 about the clothing, the gear that I was wearing during the race. So without further ado, cue titles! Yes, welcome back runners. Yes, a warm welcome back to the Running Guru show, and this week's Sunday sermon, Lessons Learned during Chicago Marathon, basically about the clothing items and all the other gizmos that I had in terms of making sure that I ran the best race that I ever ran, and what I'd learned, and hopefully from what I'd learned I can share amongst you guys as well. So yes, lesson 5, what I learned. You might have seen the previous vlog, I'll leave a link up there. Lesson number 4, which is about the nutrition and energy that I was taking on, and why I didn't drink any water during the whole marathon. So yeah, you can click on that link and watch that as well. But without further ado, let's crack on with the gear that I was wearing. So yes guys, the gear what I was wearing, obviously this was one of the first items that I was wearing. Whilst it's a visor, and sometimes I wear a hat, I looked at the weather forecast. One of the key things, lessons learned that I've learned now from the few short years that I've been running, is to look at the weather forecast ahead in terms of how the race is going to be. And I know it might sound a bit of common sense, but to dress appropriately for those weather conditions. So the forecast was rain, and it was going to be a bit chilly. So for me, I wanted to make sure the purpose of having this visor is that when you're running in the rain, it keeps the rain off your eyes. Yeah, I know. It's so as I said, sometimes I might have a hat on, but in this particular one, I had the visor on. RaceCheck, go check out their website on all the great races, reviews, and so on and so forth. But so I was wearing this particular visor during the race to keep the rain off. So whilst it didn't rain all the way through the race, when it did rain, I could focus on look forward, because there's nothing worse than rain splashing on your face and you got all that sweat it's all like, so visor. But before I even looked at the actual weather forecast, before I get dressed, this is something that I put on in the morning after I've had a shower, cleaned up, preparing for a race. This is what I put on. Can you see that? Buddy glad for you. Yes. This is, as it says on the front of the pack, this is the original anti-chaff balm. Yes, I know. Let's get into the nitty-gritties here. And I need to stress there are other brands available. This is just what I use. And yeah, chaffing. It happens. It happens in all sorts of places. So for me, where do I apply this? Yeah, now it's obviously going to be different for ladies. Where I put this on, I mean, it may be different for ladies, I don't know. Where I put this on is down in my nether regions, down in the crotch area, and then also on my on here, on the old nipples, because sometimes when I'm running, the clothes tend to rub, especially when they're wet and cold, and you get a bit of yeah, nipple bleed, I think it's called, and you can Google that and you'll see all sorts of pictures. Yeah, it might put some of you off, but anyway, yeah. So I put it on the old nips, down the old crotch, and anywhere where I feel it's going to be rubbing to reduce the chafing. So that was one of the first things I put on before I actually get dressed. So yeah, anti-chafing. So what other items did I have? I had obviously a pair of shorts. Yeah. Now these are my shorts that I had on, nice firm. And one of the key things with clothing, and I think it's been said, you're probably aware, is not to put on clothing that's totally new. You know, you want to at least worn them quite a few times and wash them, so it's used to you having them on. Because if you have some new clothes, I think that can increase the risk of chafing. So that was my shorts. The socks, you may have seen on some previous vlogs. These are the, I think they're called Asics Marathon socks. So this is what I've been wearing for a couple of years now, and they work for me and they're great. And one of the issues I used to have going out when I used to do walking distances is blisters, and thankfully now with the running and with those, they're nice thin socks and allow my feet to breathe, and they work well in my shoes. I don't get blisters during marathons now, so it works really well for me. So those are the socks, nice and thin. In terms of the top, again, I mentioned earlier about checking the weather forecast, so you need to dress to ensure that we stay warm. You know, we don't want to get cold or whatever, but when I checked the forecast, whilst it was drizzling and chilly, for the pace that I run at, and I need to stress that everybody runs at different pace, and you might need to dress differently, but for me, I had this singlet, nice little singlet, yeah, no sleeves or anything like that. Pop that on, and that kept me nice and warm. Sometimes, although I didn't wear these during Chicago, if it does get a bit chilly, you can put sleeves on. Yeah, so these are the sleeves you can put on your arm here, and keeps them nice and warm if there is a bit of a chill. And also, again, whilst I didn't wear this, is I would recommend, depending on what the weather's like, is some people tend to prefer wearing t-shirts. So if you want to put a t-shirt on, that can help as well. But for me, I found the singlet was the best option for me, and those shorts, and the pace that I was running at, I felt comfortable. At no point did I feel cold. I had no need to wear gloves or anything like that. It just felt good in that temperature. And in addition to those, the one key thing, that's the clothing. You might recall at the start I mentioned my fanny pack, yeah, bum bag. It's nothing fancy, yeah. It's just a basic Carrymore. It's got lots of zips, and so I can put all my gels, you know, in here. Pop all the gels in here, and my camera. Obviously, I'll go running along with the camera. I can put my phone in the top. Obviously, I always carry my phone with me, just in case something happens, I need an emergency, whatever, I need to call someone. And then there's nice zips here for all sorts of stuff. So when I start, I feel like I'm going on a bit of an expedition with the gels and the camera and the phones and all stuff in the bag. But yeah, it's that's what I go with, and it works for me. And I might change the fanny pack. I might work out a way. For me, obviously, running with the camera and carrying the camera, often pop it back into the bag. Things may change if I'm not going to be running with a camera. I might go for a different type of bag. But during Chicago, I ran with that. Felt really good, comfortable, and the whole gear. Because when we are running, we want to feel comfortable in terms of what we're wearing. So the key lesson learnt for me is to wear what suits me. Now, when I was in that pen and looking at all the other runners, I did stand out a little where they're all dressed in different ways, but that's how they dress for their races, and they run at different paces. I mean, there was guys there with no shirts on. No shirts on in that pouring rain and wind, but everyone's different, and there's others who've got a full waterproof gear on and hats. Everybody's different, but for me, you know, I was dressed in that gear and it worked for me. So the key lesson is just find what works for you. And as I may have mentioned in some of the previous vlogs, you know, working out what works for us during marathon races is a bit of a dark art, and what works for me may not work for other people, but try things out. That's why we go out training. And for me, I try out all the different clothes on the different training runs, look at the temperatures and try different clothing for different temperatures, so I'm prepared and ready for that race. Yeah, makes sense? So there you have it, guys and gals. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this vlog, and I do appreciate the time that you take each and every week coming back. So that was the conclusion, lesson 5, Sunday sermons, lessons learnt during Chicago Marathon. So those are the 5 lessons. If you did miss any of those, there's the links that follow the links, or go back to my main channel and have a look through. But in terms of Sunday sermons, Chicago Marathon lessons learnt for all 5 lessons. And I hope you found them useful, informative in some way. I certainly enjoyed putting them together, and it's great fun knowing that there's people out there like yourself watching who are learning new stuff each and every day. So thank you all so much for taking the time for that, and I look forward to seeing you at the next vlog. So wherever you are, whatever you do, that's right, guys.